Hello, my name is Esmeralda, and today I will be exploring Patricia Cardoso's 2002 film Real Women Have Curves, in which we see a young woman named Anna navigate many expectations in order to find her own place in the world. This is a quintessential Latinx film and is shown by some of the reviews on the screen. It speaks to many people within the Latinx community and their own experiences. After graduating, Anna wants to attend college, but she quickly meets the disapproval of her mother. In the film, we see how Carmen, which is Anna's mother, assumes the position of family head, dictating what happens in the family. Traditionally, men are considered the heads of the households within Mexican culture, but Fernando Peñalosa states that migration, amongst other things, can affect how families interact in his journal article, Mexican Family Rules. And because they are immigrants from Mexico, it can be easily understood as to why the mother might take this position of power, alongside with the fact that there are multiple other women within the family. So it might feel to Carmen that it is her responsibility to assume a position of power to better guide the future of the household. We also see dynamics within different generations of the household. A multi-generational household is a practice that is very common in Mexican culture due to the high value of family. The value placed on family and the importance of family is another reason as to why Carmen forbids Anna to leave for college. So instead of going to college, Carmen wants Anna to assume the same position that Carmen has in the family and forces her to work in a textile company that Estela, which is Anna's sister, runs. Latinx culture places a high emphasis on the importance of hard work and labor. Much like in the film, it is often valued over receiving an education, despite how highly exploitative labor can be. In LA, 75% of the garment labor industry is made up of Latinx people. This work continues to remain highly exploitative, and this is due to the fact that many people fear disposability of their employment. They feel like it'll be very easy for them to be replaced, and therefore they continuously accept low wages. Also, employers easily continue to exploit their employees because of this idea that work and hard work specifically is really important regardless of your compensation. And in addition to this, as per the title, the movie tackles body image. One of the biggest critics of Anna's body is Carmen, her mother. She, many points throughout the film, points out how Anna's bigger figure will make her unwanted to men, like undesirable towards men, and how she will never be able to find somebody because of her weight, and how if only she lost a little bit of weight, she could truly be beautiful. Anna always seems to stand up for herself when it comes to this. One scene specifically, we see how she takes off her clothes in the workroom when it is extremely hot and embraces her stretch marks, her rolls, and her big breasts and her big butt, and encourages the other women to do so as well. They all join together and show each other their stretch marks and find joy in the way that their bodies looks, and they find comfort in each other's bodies. Anna says, ladies, look how beautiful we are. This is who we are. We're real women. And it is a scene where we kind of see how, despite Carmen's disapproval of these women looking the way that they do, they still are able to feel comfortable in their own skin. Another theme that is explored in the movie and film is sexuality. So Anna, she engages in a relationship with a boy named Jimmy, and she loses her virginity to him. There are two different forces working within that. So she has her cultural pressures, which are traditional Mexican ideals of virginity, something that her mother implements many a times and says the man wants a virgin and places high value in maintaining her virginity. And then we also have the society kind of pressures where mainstream ideals surrounding sexuality tend to be more lenient and more accepting of people who want to engage in premarital sex and sex with multiple people. Latinas in the US have a hard time with this because they must make sense of the mainstream Anglo and the traditional Latino messages that are often contradicting, especially when it comes to things like sexuality. So we see kind of how, even though Anna has these ideas of virginity being important, being given and fed to her, she still understands that there is, as she says, more to her than what is in between her legs. I also want to make mention of the different ways that cultures interact within the film. Jimmy is in fact a white person and he engages in a relationship with Anna, and it is interesting to see his point of view opposed to hers. There's a line where Jimmy says that things are too easy here in America, you're handed everything from school to a car, while we see that Anna is in fact struggling with being able to convince her family to allow her to go to college and having that sort of freedom that Jimmy feels like is natural in America. We also see how Miss Glass, which is the owner of Bloomingdale's and the executive that gives Estella the payment for her work and for her dresses, she is highly exploitative of Estella by only paying her $6 for a $600 dress, and she says a woman like me should help a woman like you. Miss Glass is a Latina woman, and she feels like she is helping Estella by providing her with this employment opportunity despite how highly exploitative it is. And finally, the last thing I want to touch upon is the relationship that Carmen and Anna have. Their relationships are very complex, and especially with a mother-daughter relationship. And even though throughout the movie we see how Anna's mother is judgmental of her weight, judgmental of her goals, and judgmental of her actions, it's still important to note that Anna's mother cares for her. She just happens to be from a different background that thinks that those things that she is doing are good for Anna. So we see in the scene here on the screen where Anna burns herself, Carmen rushes to her and tends to her wound, and we see that her mother does in fact care for her, but the mother just wants to assume a role model position, and so she wants Anna to reflect who she is instead of letting Anna be an individual. And again, much to her mother's disapproval, Anna still ends up going to college with the support of her teacher and the support of her father, and she is able to find herself. In the beginning of the movie, we see her walking through the streets of East LA where she is raised, and at the end of the movie, we see her walking in the streets of New York, assuming she is attending Columbia there. And this movie is a great example of how, even though there are many things culturally and societally that were working against her, she was still able to find a place of her own, make decisions for herself and her own sexuality, her own body, and her own future. And here are the different resources used for the project and its claims. Thank you so much for your time.